Hey guys, Tina here and welcome to my December book haul. Yet again, I went completely overboard and bought too many books and spent too much money on them. And yes, some are still on their way, so expect another decent sized book haul in January. But after that, I hope that I will be, a bit more disciplined and, take charge of things and, well, not buy as many books because I have so many books to read that really, I do not need to buy that many more. But yes, you're interested in the books, so let's get to them. The first book that I have to mention is one that I actually bought in November, but forgot to haul it because I was reading it at that time, and that is The Light Read by Francesca Harding. This is the story of Faith, whose family is moving from the mainland Britain to one of the islands on its coast. Her father is a reverend, but he's also a very famous geologist, and because there's a dig happening on that island, he's been invited to go and participate, and the whole family is moving. Now Faith is suspicious about those reasons. She thinks there's more behind that, and she does know that father is keeping a lot of secrets, and well, throughout the book we get to see what that is. And I have read this book, and you can hear more about it in my December wrap-up that I will be posting, well, this week. Now, I have heard a few booktubers that I watch mention this book, and most recently Chris Rhodes. You have to check his channel if you're into fantasy and sci-fi. He did a review of it, and well, he impressed me enough that I went and bought it, and that is The Shadow of What Was Lost by James Islington. I cannot tell you exactly what it's about, so I'll just read what it says on the flap. It has been 20 years since the godlike augurs were overthrown and killed. Now those who once served them, the gifted, are spared only because they have accepted the rebellion's four tenets, vastly limiting their own powers. As a gifted, Davian suffers the consequences of a war lost before he was even born. He and others like him are despised, but when Davian discovers he wields the forbidden power of the augurs, he sets into motion a chain of events that will change everything. To the west, a young man whose fate is intertwined with Davian's wakes up in the forest covered in blood and with no memory of who he is. And in the far north, an ancient enemy long thought defeated begins to stir. So this sounds really intriguing, and yes, I cannot wait to actually read this book. It's quite a chunker, so I think it's going to be a joy to do it. The next two books that I have are rebuys, and they are The Assassin's Blade and Crown of Midland by Sarah J. Maas. As I said, I had them in paperbacks, but I decided to actually invest in hardcovers. So Crown of Midland is book 2 in the Throne of Glass series, which tells the story of Selena Sardothian, who is this world-class assassin, and we'll get to follow her life after she gets out of the Endovier prison. And yeah, this is book 2, and The Assassin's Blade is naturally the bind-up of the 5 novellas that Sarah J. Maas released. There's a lot of discussion when these should be read. Personally, I think you don't need to read them before the Queen of Shadows, but definitely before Queen of Shadows, because the characters that appear in these books actually make a reappearance in Queen of Shadows, and yeah, but yeah, before that I don't think it's actually necessary. But, do as you will. So recently I watched an episode of Mars, the documentary on the National Geographic, and I was really fascinated by Elon Musk because, he's a creator of, well, the SpaceX program, and he's really working hard to get us there, and I just got really fascinated and interested, and I knew that a few years back his biography was translated into Slovene, so I decided to get it. And so here we have Elon Musk by Ashley Vance, and I haven't started reading it yet, but I plan to do it hopefully in January, and I don't know, he just sounds like a fascinating person, so well, I want to read about him. Next I have Uprooted by Naomi Novik. This is a very popular book here on BookTube, and as far as I know it's about Agnieszka, who lives in this village, and the village is protected by the dragon, and from what I gather she is basically forced to go to him, and things change from there on, and hopefully it's going to be as good as people say it is. I decided to buy this UK version of the cover. I thought before of buying a US hardcover because I preferred it to the UK one, but recently this one grew on me and I decided to go with this one. There's so many choices and decisions have to be made. The next book is The Fate of the Chairlink, which is book 3 in the Queen of the Chairlink trilogy by Erica Johansson. This trilogy is about Kelsia, who was raised in seclusion, and when she turns 18, the Queen's Guard comes to get her, and you know, she has to go to her city and rule there because she is the future and present queen. And throughout these books, you see her grow up, make decisions, learn about her past and everything, and it's a really interesting adventure. I love this book. I already read it, and you will hear more about it in my wrap-up again. Yeah, so you know, I know the last ending part was a bit problematic for me, but despite that, I really enjoyed it, and I definitely recommend the trilogy as a whole. The next book that I have is Look Who's Back by Timur Vermes. This is a book in which Hitler comes back. It's 2011 and Hitler wakes up somewhere in Berlin, and he's really confused because clearly he, you know, doesn't think that time has passed, you know, between what he remembers last and when he wakes up, and you know, nobody's respecting him, you know, but there's a woman, you know, ahead of the country, there's immigrants everywhere, and he's annoyed. And well, I just begun this book, so I'm not too far in it to tell you how it turns out, but so far it's really enjoyable and sort of humorous, and well, he's definitely he will definitely try to, you know, restore his well, his plans and all that, but so far it's enjoyable. There's also a movie on it, and I want to read this book before I well, watch it. The last book in this haul is The Diabolic by S.J. Kincaid. This is a young adult sci-fi book which tells the story of Nemesis. Nemesis is a diabolic, and diabolics are humanoids that are created to serve and protect one single person. So when she was a kid, she was bought by a senator's family in order to protect their daughter Sidonia, and then she was changed in order, you know, to love Sidonia and Sidonia only, and basically live for her and do anything for her. And now years later, the senator is in trouble with the emperor of the galaxy, and Sidonia is ordered to come to the emperor's side as a hostage, and Nemesis takes her place, and there we get to see her act as human, which is not necessarily the easiest thing for her to do, but she does it for Sidonia, and it was a really interesting read. Again, I've read it, so watch my wrap-up for more information, and yeah, I really liked it. So those were all the books that I wanted to mention in this video. If you have read any and you have an opinion on them, please leave me a comment down below. And yeah, enjoy the rest of the year, you know, what's left of it, and see you in my next video. Bye!